In recent times, supply chains have been exposed as being highly vulnerable to disruption. The efficiency of these networks is fundamental to the success of any business. If one link in the chain breaks, the entire system fails.
When the pandemic first appeared, it was really clear to myself and to the rest of the leadership team that we needed to act quickly to make sure our supply chains were sustainable and to make sure that we started to understand where the risks lay. And some of the great tools that are now around for procurement organisations meant that that was a much less complicated task than it would have been, say, even 3 years ago. So we were quite quickly able to correlate the data within our ERP system on the location of our suppliers with the incidence of COVID emerging in Italy. For us, this was particularly important as we have 3 manufacturing sites in Italy. And we repeated that method as we went forward. As the pandemic spread around the world, we were able to look at where the pandemic was moving and how it was connecting with our supply base to really try and stay in touch with how we deployed our limited resources to make sure we understood the complex situations as quickly as possible. And that then fed through on how we tracked the performance of our suppliers. So we were able to say, this supplier in particular is in a heavily affected area. We were able to look at delivery performance and correlate that to the suppliers that were, use that as a point of correlation to understand whether suppliers in affected areas were still performing well. Clearly, Brexit has completely changed the way that we export goods and services from the UK, and many of the trains that we manufacture in the UK are crossing borders. It also changed the way that I import key systems that go onto the trains here. So many of my systems are crossing the UK border multiple times. And so we've had to put in place new processes that allow us to record goods as they come in and out of the UK, which we didn't have to do under EU trade law. And the technology has really allowed us to do that in a very efficient and cost-effective way.
What do the future requirements of procurement look like? I think they're going to be after something which is going to be networked. So talking about those buyers, the enterprise buyers, suppliers, partners, they need to have that networked access via one cloud. Give me access to this. So we want to ensure that suppliers and the partners and the business buyers are transacting in a similar way that we're used to in the B2C world. That's the first thing. Secondly, it has to be intelligent. They have to be able to utilize artificial intelligence, machine learning. If you can't do that, you're not justifying how you're actually enabling this whole technology platform. It's used in other areas of business. Why isn't it being used in the procurement function? Right? Secondly, it's got to be comprehensive. It needs to ensure that you have the right breadth of functionality going through the source to pay cycle. That's really important. It needs to have the right functionality. And then the final point, I guess, is it's got to be extensible. And what I mean by extensible is there's a massive, vast ecosystem of suppliers out there. Being able to grab data which no one vendor can do, but being able to go to different vendors who have that information, whether it's around supply risk or whether it's around sustainability or whether it's around how the suppliers are engaging with particular product sets, it is out there, but it's held in different pockets of other vendors. It's an ecosystem. So what procurement are going to be asking for is, look, I want something which is going to be connected to that, connected to that, connected to that, connected to that, but I want one platform that I'm going to view that from.